going to start the recording. We should be on for the next 2 weeks, I believe. Let me look at the calendar and double check. Yes, it is. Okay. So I do know where we're supposed to be in here. All right. So everybody's here. Apparently everybody hears me. All right. Hold on one second. I'm going to store something. That way the others sitting here in the office and out in the hall don't have to hear me the whole time. All right, so you're getting into chapter 4 now. 4 is going to do single table queries. Basically what you're going to do in this chapter is you're going to work with the select statement. And you're going to learn how to use the select statement in a whole bunch of different ways. So they're going to walk you through on, you did select in chapter 3, where you did the select asterisk from in the name of the table, and that chose everything. Well, now you're going to start refining that. First thing is they're going to show you is, they do show you that one again about how you can retrieve it all using select asterisk, or you can do a select and you can list all the fields that you want to choose. So instead of listing them all, you can just do asterisk, and asterisk's a wildcard for them all. But you can list, instead of the asterisk, you can list the fields that you want, or columns that you want. And fields or columns actually in SQL, but it's usually fields other places. So I'm going to quite often probably use the word fields when I'm talking about columns. Rows deals with the information about one of the items. And then they introduce to you about the where clause, and with the where, that you're telling it that you only want the ones that meet a certain condition. And so their example there is about a customer number, that they only want the information about customer number 123. So they would do where custom equals quote 123 quote. Now that is a number. They did put it in quotes. I did tell you before, numbers don't go in quotes. However, remember, customer number is actually not a numeric field. So it would work without the quotes there, but since it's a string field, not a numeric field, because you're not going to do calculations on the customer number, that then you could put it in quotes. Or you want it to find all of the people that were in one city. So they give you an example of where city equals quote Grove quote. And that's what the apostrophes that they're using when I'm saying quote there. It's not the double quote symbol. So they show you on those. Then they tell you about compound ones, which is where you use the and the or. And is if it meets two different conditions. So they've said where something, some condition, something equals something, or something greater than, something like that. And then and so another condition. If you use and, both sides have to be true for it to be true, which is when you want it to then find things. If you use or, if either side is true, it's true. So remember those on those. You can also put nots on there and reverse those. Then they introduce to you between. With the between, you're saying, all right, here's a field, and we're looking for value between, and then we tell it what field. Then you could actually use not also back there on the other, besides and or. And that, so you can tell it not what it would have been, so you can reverse it. I'm not one to ever use not very much. I tend to just change my wording of my condition to expressing the other. With between, you could have done it with the where, with the and on it, or you can just use between and you can just do between and say, so you could tell it what field between, and then you tell it the value that's the lower end and what's the higher end. So you can do that on that one. And you can get that further out there. So you can play with that one on there. So you can do a lot of neat little things on that. Like is sort of like between, but with like that you say whatever the name of the field is, like, and then you give it the field name that you want it to be like, except that you're telling it when you do that where it's got that combination in it. So you're going to put percent signs before and after it to say, all right, where it contains that. Or if you don't put the percent sign before it, you're saying it's got to start with this and then the percent sign after. So you can play around with those. So the percent sign is going to be a wild card for you. And then they tell you about how you can order your output, sort your output in another term, and that you can just say order by and tell it which field you want to order it by. So you got your output that comes out and you want it in a specific order. You can say order by and tell it which field it's supposed to be sorted by. And then you can sort on those. Ascending is going to be the default. You can also do it as descending by just putting the word DESC afterwards. And that says change around descending instead. You can order it by multiple fields. The first one's the primary sort on it. The second one, it sorts within there. So you can do that. With the select, you can also do a count. So instead of listing a field, you can put count parentheses and the name of a field. And so you could tell it to count everything in there with an asterisk, or you can tell it to just count the specific ones. And it comes back, instead of giving you a listing of all of the things, it gives you a count back, and so you just get a number. Sum adds up. So if you got a field that's all numbers, so you got prices, you could do sum and find out what the total of all the prices is. Average, max, and min all work similar. You could do average in a field and it'll give you the average of all those elements in that field. Max tells you what's the highest one, min tells you the lowest one. And again, that's on the list of fields is where you use sum, count, average, max, and min. They're not down there into something else. And you quite often do use wheres on there because you only want to know about specific ones. You can also get, using the distinct, you can get rid of all of the duplicates. Probably not going to use that one a whole lot, but be aware of that one. And grouping, if you do group, that says take whatever field you did group by and says put them all together in that group into one thing. And so then you'd only get one item out for those. So if you grouped by, in their example, grouped by rep number, then you just get the rep names, and you were doing this, they were doing this one on the customer table. So then they would know, found out what the average balance was for everybody that uses that rep. And so they grouped them together. And they also did an order by on that same one because they wanted to put the rep names in order. When you only got 3 rep names, they're probably not significant. But if you had 100 rep names, you might want to get them in order so that you could find the rep name you were looking for. Having is another one that you can tell it down there. This doesn't go up in the list of fields, this goes down in your where type clause, except it's not where, it's a having clause. And that here you're telling it similar to like where, but you're saying having, and you've told it to do a calculation of that you're looking for some type calculation. In this case, they did it in their example. They took the balances. They wanted the average. They wanted an average of the balances that are greater than $1,500. So they want to eliminate all of the average balances that were less than that. So having versus where are similar ones. Null is another one for you. Null and zero are two different values. Null says there is nothing there. Zero says there's zero things there. There's actually a difference on that. And on the computer, it is a distinct difference because if it's zero, it is a zero stored out there. If nothing has been put into that field, it is null. So there is a difference on that, but null says we haven't assigned a value to that field. So sometimes you want to do on that one. So that there is the chapter. Now, my hint to you as you go to do the exercises. Basically, what they have you doing will follow along in the chapter in the order they presented it to you in. So when they want you to do something, if you just sort of follow along through the chapters, go from one to the next, generally, you're going to find that one item in the exercise follows the previous there in the chapter. You do have a whole bunch of them to do. There's 23 of them to do. Those are all different select statements. Let me remind you, when you do each select statement, you want to do a new query and then type in the select again. Yes, you're going to do tile distributors all through the book. We're going to stay with that one because that's why, since you built that one, that's the one you definitely want to go with because that's the one you get the data for. You don't have the data built out there for the others unless you elect it to just do that extra. So you're going to be doing those. It will take you a little bit of time going through doing them, but do get the feel of the select statement. In this case, in this chapter, we're working with just one table. When we get in chapter 5 in 2 weeks, we're going to take the select statement another step forward, and we're going to start pulling stuff from 2 or more tables. So we'll be pulling it multiple ways. All right, questions for me, because that's a general overview on it. No, but make sure you print it first. If you go to close that window, you don't need to save it, but you need to print it. Make sure you do your print screen. Although these are all selectively on that, so if you did suddenly realize you forgot to do print screen on number 2 and you're on number 9, you can go back and print screen number 2 again, and it doesn't have any effect on the next steps. Now, when you do in the next chapters, that does, but you don't have to save. It saves it for you automatically anyway. Because when you update stuff in the database, it's saved out there in the database at that point. So whether you do print screen or you do the snipping tool, remember when you do the print screens, and I'm using print screen in the broad term of it, that could be with snipping tool. Make sure you give me the whole screen on it. I'm going to go back and look at my directions real quick again on that. I need it to include down there at the bottom of the screen where the date's on it. So make sure you do that. Couple of other little housekeeping chores here real quick. Next week, this week I should be on campus all week as far as I know, or on campuses, because I'm in the afternoon over at Dalton on Tuesday and Thursday. I should be here all day today. I'm doing these all day today. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, and 2. And then Wednesday, hopefully I can go work grading some. And yeah, I still got it right. And that'll be Tuesday and Thursday. And Friday, I should be around Friday morning. Next week, we'll have session as normal on Monday, and Thursday and Friday I will be off campus. I'm going to a Kiwanis District training event, and probably be online that Thursday afternoon and Friday morning some, but it'll depend on what all I get involved in when I get up to the session, because I really don't have things that I have to be at until on Friday, late Friday afternoon. But I need to be checking in with people and talking with people. I'm running for governor of the Kentucky-Tennessee Kiwanis, so I've got to be doing some campaigning in and out all that time, but I'll be online some during those days. The following week, that Thursday and Friday, which I believe is the 4th, 5th, and 6th, I believe, of March. School classes do not meet those 2 days. Student holidays, the 5th, we have meetings all day for the faculty in Calhoun, which I'll be at, so I won't be online that day during the day. And then I'm supposed to go to a reception for the congressman is having, for those of us that judged in the winner of an app contest he had. And I was a judge back in December. So that evening I'm doing that in Dalton, and then I'll be home and I'll probably be online that evening. So that Friday we've got faculty school-wide employee meetings all day. So basically the campuses will be closed that day. I think technically they are open, and we'll have one person sitting here at each campus at the admin office to sort of try to answer questions, but otherwise they'll be closed that day. Then that following week I'll have my sessions on that Monday the 9th, but then I'll go to North Carolina that afternoon and be gone all the rest of the week. On Tuesday all day I'll be in Cisco update meetings, including dinner that night. I should be online later that evening. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday I'll be at a computer conference up there in North Carolina, same place, on other stuff. And we got a dinner that Wednesday evening. Thursday, I'll probably be out to eat with some of the people I know from some other schools up there. But I should be online later in the evening each of those days. So it's going to be rather busy. And then I'll hopefully get back and get those things checked at some point. But I got to grade 2550 is my next class to do is initial grading on, and then I'm going to get back and start trying to grade some more in the other classes. I will grade chapter 1 still, and I'll get to that one still. And then 3 obviously is due today, so I'll have that one sitting in there. And there were several people that had to do some corrections on 2. So hopefully we'll get going on all of that. If you have questions on the material, send me notes. I will be trying to be on email as much as possible, but I do get tied up on some other stuff. And I never do know when I may have to go attend to something else and deal with something else at any point. Any questions for me at this point? Not sure if I see any of y'all the rest of today in any other sessions. I know I saw one person earlier this morning, but then I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go. I got my next session at 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, which is the class I took over from Ms. Hopkins for right now for the rest of the semester. And then when it gets to being after my 2 o'clock session, I'm probably going to head home soon thereafter, because notice in that schedule I just gave you, there is no time for lunch for me today. So this is about my extent of lunch, my bag of chips I just bought just before this session, that I'm going to munch on those real quick before I do my next thing. Then I've got y'all written down. I'll try to get grades put in later today for these collaborates for this week. I hope that helps some on what I just went over with y'all. Also, the recordings, as soon as I can get them downloaded, uploaded, and link made, they are going into Collaborate. That recordings link I've put over there on the left for you in Blackboard. They are still in Collaborate and the recordings out there, but I'm moving them to the other spot. When I do move them to this other spot, they're going onto YouTube, and they're actually closed captioned then. So that is there. I do have February 3rd and 10th recordings sitting there. They want me to get the others all put out there too. They also want me to do all my discussions every week, and also they want me to be grading everything and teaching all of y'all and answering all the email and everything else. And that I'm going to try to keep up with doing these, but you got to realize if I'm doing 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, I'm doing 6 a day, so I got 6 of them to do today by the end of the day. And that will take a little bit of time to do it. So, and then I'm trying to do a few other things because I do have personal life out there too. So we'll see what all goes on. And I did get grading for one class done yesterday. Actually, it was my new class. I did get some of their grading done because they hadn't had any grading done either. So I got their first assignment or 2 done. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording if y'all don't have anything else. But glad to know that, Heather, that this does help. And if y'all need me to sit there and bring it up on the screen, SQL Server, I can do that and share the screen with y'all also, showing y'all on how to do some of it. And for that matter, if y'all want me to go through and demo anything on some other time period other than just on these Monday sessions, we can set up and create a collaborate session at that point for, I can do it for just one person or I can do it for a group of you. If we need to do that, just let me know and we'll figure out a time to do it in. So if there's not anything else, I'm going to end the recording.